All right. Now, Arrhenius concept about an acid and base. Now, Arrhenius is one of the scientists that gave his own concept about acid and base. Now, Arrhenius, he defined an acid to be any substance. Defined an acid to be any substance that dissolve in water to produce hydrogen ion. Yes, it is fine and acid to be what? Any substance that dissolve in water, there must be a solution. Okay? So it define acid to be any substance that dissolve in water to produce what? Hydrogen ion, which is also known as proton. Okay? Which is also known as proton. Then it define base to be any substance that dissolve in water to produce what? Hydroxy ion. Now, this definition about an acid is streamlined. When I mean streamlined is that it's not 100% correct. This is because proton, it was found out that when an acid, eh, it was found out that when an acid dissolve in water, eh, it was found out that when an acid dissolve in water, proton ion is not formed. I don't know if you understand. This is because proton cannot exist alone. When an acid dissolve in water, the proton cannot exist alone. So this is why its definition about an acid to be a substance that dissolve in water to produce proton is not correct. This is because proton, when an acid dissolve in water, it cannot produce proton. Proton cannot exist alone when an acid dissolve in water. Okay, so that is why the definition is not correct. Then it modified it to be the definition of a bad an acid is now modified to be any substance that dissolve in water to produce hydrozonium ion. To produce what? Hydrozonium. Hydrozonium ion. Now, if you do the equation, reacting HCl with water, you will find out that this hydrogen will react with water. If we react with water, you find out that we will now form what? H3O plus, then plus chlorine ion. So this H3O plus is known as what? Hydrozonium ion. Okay? So an acid, if you want to define an acid, according to Arrhenius concept, an acid is any substance that dissolve in water to produce what? To produce hydrozonium ion. Please don't add proton because why? Proton or hydrogen ion cannot exist alone when an acid dissolve in water. Then the definition of base is correct. Based on his own concept. A base is any substance that dissolve in water to produce what? Hydroxy ion. Okay? Yes. So this is Arrhenius concept about acid and base. Now, Arrhenius concept about acid and base has limitations. Yes, it has what? Limitations. It has limitations in the sense that in the sense that it define acid based on in the sense that the reaction is always associated with what? With water. Yes, it define it limits an acid to an aqueous solution. I don't know if you understand. So this is the limitation of what Arrhenius concept about an acid. It limits an acid to be any to be any substance that dissolve in water. It must be what? It must be an aqueous solution. So that is the limitation of what? That is the limitation of Arrhenius concept about an acid because it limits an acid to be any substance that must dissolve in an aqueous solution. Yes, it always has this limitation. This limitation. Yeah, it limits an acid to aqueous solution. Yes, when I mean aqueous solution, a solution involving water. Okay, so this is the limitation of what Arrhenius concept about acid and base. Now, in summary, Arrhenius concept about an acid and base that it define an acid to be any substance that dissolve in water to produce what? Hydrozonium ion. While a base as any substance that dissolve in water to produce what? Hydroxy ion. Okay? Yes. Now its limitation is that it limits an acid to aqueous solution. Without aqueous solution, without water, an acid cannot be acid. That is what Arrhenius is saying. Without water or without an aqueous solution, an acid cannot have that ability to become an acid. There must be an aqueous solution present. So that is its limitation. Now let's move to the next concept. Brosted and Lowry concept about an acid and base.